Huh. Uh, mm. I'm not gonna lie. Despite knowing the plot turn that happened, the way that it was delivered as an overall package makes me real uncertain about continuing to watch this show. Last of Us Part 2, and I'm going to talk spoilers pretty much immediately. I knew that Joel was going to die. I didn't know it was going to happen this episode. And actually, I'll talk about later structurally why I don't think it should have happened in this episode. But I knew that was going to happen. So there was not, this isn't a matter of like, oh, you got rid of the character I really like. No. Okay. The first season was heavy. And like fittingly so, and in a way that felt earned, but it also had its moments of levity. It had its reminders for why it's worth continuing on, even as so much crap has happened. And I, for one, tend to think that kind of thing is really important to have in some dosage. And this season has not really given it. I was concerned coming into this season that it was gonna be misery porn. And it kind of is. And I think I think what illustrates this most clearly is the fact that they did kill Joel in this episode. And look, this is not a matter of episode 2 is too soon. No, I mean that for everything else going on in this episode, you're doing that too. That just feels abusive to the audience. So we have this entire thing of the assault on Jackson, which apparently is not in the game. So that's original. And like we didn't lose any of the characters who we knew, or at least none that I noticed. So like that's not as miserable as it could be, but it is incredibly intense, and it still feels like a loss because this was a home. You got the sense of it as a home. You did get a sense of this community. That was kind of the closest to that glimmer of hope. And you know that this is all worth fighting for and worth continuing on that the show was giving us, and now it's destroyed it and burned it down. Granted, not everybody's dead, like they can repair, but still, like that was a lot. That was a lot to process. And then after that, within the same episode, you're gonna kill one of the two main characters. Look, let me just float a proposal at you. Okay, you have your big assault on Jackson, and it ends with Abby and Joel and Dina heading up to the lodge, but that's where you cut. That's like your big, oh crap. So the people who know are on pins and needles going to the next episode, and even the people who don't know that he's gonna die are still gonna be nervous because like they know Abby wants to kill him. And then you know, if you're asking, well, how do you pad out the third episode so it's not just a beating for 3 hours? I don't know, make something up. That's your job. You made up the entire assault on Jackson. Make up something to fill out the time so it's not just an hour-long episode of that. But to make a Game of Thrones comparison, this is like having Hardhome or Battle of the Bastards happen and then having the Red Wedding happen in the same episode after that. It's too much. And the reason I feel confident in saying it's too much is because when Joel's getting beaten, you know what I felt? Numb. I felt numb. And it's not because the scene wasn't done. Well, it feels weird to call a brutal beating done well. But it's not that I think the scene wasn't effective in a vacuum. But by then I was already emotionally drained. You asked too much of me. You asked me for one more round. I need recovery time. You need to, I don't, maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't have the emotional stamina for this kind of marathon of misery that this episode is. So maybe it's a me thing, but I really do feel that tacking his death onto the end of the same episode that you do that massive, impressively done zombie assault on the town, it's too much. It is too much. These are two harrowing, emotionally draining events back to back in the same goddamn episode. No, I think that was a mistake. The only point at which I felt any degree of anything during Joel's death was when Ellie showed up, and the performance from Bella Ramsey, they did a real good job. You know, just being a panicking teenager. And like that tugged a little something in me, but I think that had more to do with the fact that I'm a parent than anything else. But like, I mean, props to that, but that was like the only little blip on the heart monitor. Otherwise it was a flat line just because I had nothing left to give. And this thing's gonna throw that in right after. No, I think that was a bad idea. And like the fact that the show was willing to do this misery version of Hat on a Hat, that's what makes me reluctant to keep going. It's not because they killed Joel. I knew Joel was gonna die. But presenting it in this way to me says you're not paying attention to how you pace out the misery. Actually, you're not pacing out the misery. You're just loading it up. And the more that I think about, like, knowing enough about the second game to know that at least gameplay-wise, after this point, it's just Ellie going out and seeking revenge, and it's like, really? Really? So, after watching Abby do something horrible, you're now going to ask me to follow Ellie for episode after episode after episode and watch her do the same goddamn horrible thing? Actually, potentially do it worse? Because at the very least, Abby restricted her vengeance to Joel and only Joel. I have a feeling Ellie won't. Like, she even just said, I'm going to kill all of you. Like, I don't want to watch somebody self-destruct for another season and 2/3. Like, I don't. And it's not that you can't do that kind of thing in a show. It's just going to be very unlikely that it appeals to me. And also, a note, that there was something the showrunner said. I forget his name, but he said something like, because I looked a little bit up, because I was curious how much of this was in the game, how much of it wasn't. I suspected the assault on Jackson wasn't, and that's unique to the show. And again, actually very well done. The zombie horde, really intimidating. And like watching the entire group as a mass just turn and head another direction, really unsettling. Like there's some good stuff there, borrowing a little bit from the film version of World War Z at a few points, but like giving you an impression of how many of them there are, watching them just immediately slam into a chain link fence and knock the thing over. Like it was a really well done zombie assault on the town. I actually have almost no complaints about that section. It was really expertly done. It's just that I was emotionally drained after that, and then you kept going. And like, I understand cycle of violence is a valid story, but like, you've already shown the cycle. Now you're gonna make me watch it again, just with a character who I used to like? And not that I'm saying I don't like Ellie anymore. I just have a feeling I'm not going to be able to keep liking Ellie, knowing enough about where the damn story's going to go from here. I will come back for the next episode to see what they kind of do off the back of this and like get a sense of how they're going to move forward and see if they can calm the hell down and not just pile more misery. But you know what? If the next episode is another massive misery party, I might be done. If it's not that, I'll stick through the remainder of this season. I'm not promising to come back for season 3, though. This, again, it's not the plot points. It's the fact that you did it at the end of something else that was emotionally draining, to me says you are not taking care of your audience. You're trying to hurt them. You're not trying to cushion their experience at all. And that's like a dom who doesn't do aftercare. You went straight into another session rather than having some aftercare. And we'll see if you do some little late. You should have paused and given some of this before style aftercare in the next episode. We'll see. I'm kind of not expecting it. You kind of set my expectation where I don't think you care about your audience having and like, I'm not saying it's a good experience. Like It's a post-apocalyptic show. It's not supposed to be fun. I know that some people really misconstrued part of what I said last review. Were like, it's not meant to be entertaining. I actually corrected myself and even said entertaining is the wrong word. So frickin' bite me. But I'm not saying this is supposed to be fun. But even in something that is harrowing and draining and depressing, I think you still have a responsibility to your audience to a certain degree. And if you're not going to take that responsibility to your audience, I'm not saying you don't have the right to make the art or that people don't have the right to like it. I am going to say I might bail. Like it's just too much. It's too much pain. It's too much misery. It's no time to breathe. No. Didn't like it. Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2. Rest in peace, Joel. Although I guess he's coming back for flashbacks. Like, if the flashbacks are the way they're going to try and inject, like, a sense of, you know, the reminders that there's still good stuff out there, that's a mistake and a miscalculation, because all you're going to do is say, oh, look, here's a reminder that things can be good. Yeah, but the guy's dead already. You're showing us something that you killed. That's not gonna. That's that. Yeah. Whatever your thoughts were about this, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. I have a very strong feeling that fans of this show, and definitely fans of the game, if they come across this review, are gonna be really mean to me. And if you're gonna do that, at the very least, don't be transphobic, because I will block you and delete your comment. Actually, if you're too much of a jackass in general, but like, I don't have a problem with you disagreeing me. Just try not to be mean. Crazy thought. The show's being mean enough. You don't need to make up the difference. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. But, you know, like, share, subscribe, they help. Don't worry too much about it, though. We try and take a relaxed attitude around here when we aren't watching something that just feels like it wants to hurt us. Yeah. Just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Goddess Elida, Zubin Lopfula, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Oliver B., Melissa Pedersen, Movie Turtle, Melinda Walters, Auntie Kate 808, Andre, Becky Sparks, Claire Wright, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Quite Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Toku Blahuvian, Adam RDL Taylor, Pal Barabajoggle, Mary Mello, Mira G, Sir Didymus is my favorite. I've never screwed that one up before. Well, if you want to hear me mess up your name, check out the rewards on the Patreon. I'm going to blame you.